I created this sketch based on an already formed idea for the future painting. So my goal wasn't to search for an image, but to precisely capture it. I used a B2 pencil and an eraser, working lightly to keep the lines lively and flexible. I started with the general shape. I outlined the oval of the head and the tilt of the figure, immediately establishing a slight asymmetry to prevent the pose from appearing static. Then I drew the central line of the face and marked the level of the eyes, nose, and lips. After that, I outlined the shoulders, chest, and position of the legs, trying to maintain a balance between stylization and anatomy. I intentionally made the contours slightly uneven. This helped maintain the feeling of handcrafted, emotional work. I used the eraser not to completely remove the lines, but to soften the excess, leaving traces of exploration. The sketch became the foundation upon which the mood of the future painting was already felt: openness, tension, and inner energy. I approached the coloring deliberately, understanding that color would play a central emotional role here. I used acrylic paints in 3 brushes, a fine one for contours and details, a medium one for form, and a larger than medium brush for the background and large masses of color. I painted the background first. It's important for me to establish the atmosphere immediately, so I chose an aggressive, pulsating combination of orange, red, and purple hues. Using a large brush, I applied the paint with loose, sharp strokes without striving for precision. I allowed the colors to blend directly on the canvas. This created a sense of movement, heat, and inner tension. The background wasn't meant to be simply a backdrop. It had to compete with the figure. I painted the clothing next. I deliberately chose the pink of the dress as a contrast to the fiery background. Using a medium brush, I laid down the main color spots, then enhanced the contours with a fine brush. I didn't even out the color perfectly, leaving tonal variations to make the fabric appear vibrant rather than flat. The hair became an important accent. I used a bold, almost pure blue, so that it stood out sharply against the warm hues. I first laid down the general mass with a medium brush, then added lines, direction, and rhythm with a fine brush. I painted the hair as a flow, not as individual strands, but as a single movement. I painted the face more carefully and slowly. Here, it was important to preserve the expression and character. I used softer tones, working in thin layers, trying not to overload the form. I emphasized the eyes and lips with color and contour to immediately catch the viewer's eye. Small details, the glasses, the body lines, the contours, I added at the very end with a fine brush. These lines unify the painting and give it a graphic completeness, almost illustrative in nature. Critical assessment of the work. What worked? The painting is emotional and bold. The strong color contrast supports the idea. The image is memorable, and the background truly moves. The author's style is clearly visible. It straddles the line between painting and illustration. What didn't work? The anatomy is in places more simplified than I would have liked. The proportions of the legs and shoulders could be improved. The transitions in the skin are sometimes abrupt. More midtones could be added. What to add or change? I would enhance the volume of the body using light and shadow, and slightly complicate the background to add depth without losing expression. Perhaps it's worth experimenting with texture or partially eliminating the black outline. The painting is close to expressionism, pop art, and naive graphics. It might appeal to people who appreciate emotion, bold color, illustrativeness, and the author's honesty artists, designers, and viewers tired of smooth realism.